You know, there are times in life where decisions are very complicated, and then there are times in life, and not just in your life, but in the life of your nation, in the life of your culture, in the life defended and protected and handed down to you by the struggles and blood of your ancestors. There are times when decisions are enormously simple. So recently, Emmanuel Macron in France, of course, referred to Le Pen supporters as hateful, as enemies. Now, this is similar to what happened with Hillary Clinton when she said that Donald Trump supporters were largely composed of people who were deplorables, racist and sexist and homophobic and so on. And what happened was Macron took to the stage in Paris at a rally in front of everyone, and he called the Front National the anti-France party. Now, Marine Le Pen honors French culture and French history, wants borders, control over immigration, and wants to keep France French. Now, only in the brain-twisting, squid-intestine algorithms of postmodernism could a nationalist be called anti-France. See, the guy who tells French people, well, you just have to live with terrorism. There's nothing we can do about it. We want more open borders. I love Angela Merkel and her policies are great for Europe. More EU, less control over your country, less control over your laws, less control over your culture, no control over your population. The man who existentially feels that France as it exists should not exist, he gets to call Marine Le Pen and her party the anti-France party. The left always projects. If you want to know what the left really thinks of themselves, just look at the names they call you. What else did he say? Well, he said that Marine Le Pen's supporters are fear-mongers. Fear-mongers. And extreme. He said, powerful, organized, skillful, determined. You pass them in the streets, in the countryside, or on the web, most often well hidden. As hateful as they are cowardly, you know them, the party of the agents of the disaster, the fear-mongers, the French far right. It's here! It seems to be the attitude of a priest facing a demonic horde necessary for exorcism. But you see, they're the fear-mongers. They're everywhere. They're crawling through your jam. Their brain tentacles are emerging from your baguette. And you know what? They're the fear-mongers. If only people remembered how to think. He says of Le Pen supporters, they use anger, they propagate lies. For decades they have fanned hatred, fomented divisions, imposed their discourse of discrimination. Right. So he's angry and lying about Le Pen supporters, and he's fanning hatred against Le Pen supporters, fomenting division against Le Pen supporters, 8+ million of them. And but you see, it's only Le Pen supporters who use anger, propagate lies, fan hatred, and foment divisions. This astounding lack of self-knowledge, of self-reflection, of the capacity to know, as all moral people must know, the capacity to know when you have stepped over the tripwire of rank, bottomless hypocrisy, not having a clue about that, not knowing that you are actually enacting all the things that you are accusing your opponents of doing, having no clue of how ridiculous and hypocritical you look to anyone with half a brain. This should immediately disqualify you for any kind of office. Power tends to corrupt, but if you lack self-knowledge, and if you have no capacity to recognize your own rank hypocrisy, well, power has already corrupted you. Mr. Macron said regarding Le Pen supporters, they're here. It's they who are our true enemies. Are you kidding me? What is your major malfunction, son? Le Pen supporters are our true enemies, says Mr. Macron. What can one even say? Tens of thousands of terrorists, potential terrorists, are being tracked by the French police. Bodies are shredded in the streets. French bodies litter the stained carpets of concert halls. French satirists are gunned down in their offices. But apparently Le Pen supporters are the real enemy. People who want to have borders, who wish to retain what France was. They are the enemies. You've got to learn to live with terrorism, you see. You've got to learn with being blown up and attacked and shot and slaughtered. That you have to learn to live with. We can live with that. You must learn to accept terrorism, according to Mr. Macron. But if you want borders, if you want protection, you are the enemy. How is he supposed to rule France when he has called millions and millions of French people irredeemable enemies, haters of the country? The sowers of division, of hatred. How is he supposed to rule them? How is he supposed to compromise when you have taken that kind of stand? How are you supposed to compromise? You have to live with terrorism, you see. If you want borders to try and control the entry of potential terrorists, well, then you're the enemy. The enemy of who? If you want a country, you see, you are the enemy. If you want to respect your traditions and the sacrifices of your ancestors, you are the enemy. If you want a homeland, you are an enemy. If you want continuity of culture, you are an enemy. An enemy of who? Why? An enemy of the globalists. An enemy of the banks that view countries as annoying cultural impediments to their universal rule. You are an enemy of the European Union, of the 20-hour work weeks and massive pay, pensions and benefits and vacations. You are an enemy of those who invent rules to destroy the taxed livestock they feed on. The political is the personal. This is what you need to understand. He hates you. If you are a nationalist, if you are a respecter of French culture, if you wish to retain all that France has become over the past few thousand years and all that it is, if you wish to improve it, to grow it, then you are his enemy. And if he gains power, viewing you as irredeemable enemies, he will use that power against you. It is a life or death struggle. You understand this. It's personal. And it needs to be personal for you. I'll tell you this, if I was in France and I had a friend who was pro-Macron, he thought Emmanuel Macron was a wonderful guy to be in power, and I was a Le Pen supporter, and he supported a guy who said I was evil and hateful and the true enemy of France, I would tell that person straight up, if you support this man who thinks that I am evil and an enemy, then you must think I am evil and an enemy. And if you think I'm evil and an enemy, I will not be your friend. I will not flagellate myself to gain your approval. I don't care how much history there is between us. I don't care how much in common we have. If you support a man who thinks I am evil, who thinks I am hateful, who thinks I am the true enemy, we cannot be friends. You have become my enemy by supporting a man who thinks this of me. Make it personal. Make it personal. Because I'm telling you, if that man gets in power, it's going to become personal very, very quickly. I'll leave the last word to a man who actually died in Paris 46 years ago. You have one chance this weekend, my friends. One chance. As Jim Morrison once said, I'll tell you this. No eternal reward will forgive us now for wasting the dawn.